What's up YouTube? David here from No Swag Media, formerly known as Headphones and Stuff, and today I wanted to do a quick video comparing two shoe models that I have worn a ton throughout the past few years of my life. These two shoes would be the Converse One Star, which I wear a lot now, and the Old Skools, which I used to wear quite a bit a few years ago. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I did switch over to the Converse One Stars upon Tyler's switching in collaboration. Now, this wasn't me just saying I only follow what Tyler does, but when I did buy the One Stars and start wearing them a lot, I realized that I actually enjoy these shoes a lot more than the Old Skools for a number of reasons. Now, don't get me wrong, Vans Old Skools are a classic shoe and will probably never go out of style. I would beg that these are probably Vans' most popular model at the moment in 2021 because anytime I go out to school or to the mall or in public, I always see people wearing the black and checkered ones or just the, plain black ones. And it's funny because when Tyler was collabing with Vans on Old Skools, in the mid 2010s, these weren't a very popular shoe for Vans, at least not on the East Coast in Pennsylvania where I am from. I remember going into Zoomies or even the Vans store during that time, and they would only have the very basic colorways. They had nothing else to offer. The only time I really ever saw cool pairs of Old Skools was when I went to a skate shop and they had some collabs. Other than that, I never saw people wearing these around the time when Tyler was wearing them. But I'm sure this might have been different in California. But on the East Coast, these did not become popular, funnily enough, until Tyler switched to Converse. It was almost immediately then that these became a extremely popular shoe. Now, if I'm being honest, in my opinion, there's only really a few upsides to the Vans Old Skools over the Converse One Stars. I think the most obvious upside to the Old Skools and Vans in general compared to Converse is just the amount of colorways and collaborations you can get from Vans. I know now, there's so many sites in Europe, in the United States, where you can just get all of these sorts of different colors of Vans Old Skools, and pretty much every collaboration they do includes an Old Skool at this point, so there's just so many options. And unfortunately with the One Stars, it seems as though when Tyler stopped producing his own One Star collaborations, Converse also really slowed at producing new colorways. Back when Tyler was collabing with them on this particular shoe silhouette, Converse was releasing a ton of really dope and, cool colors of the One Star, but as soon as he stopped, they released some really ugly oddball color combo ones a few months back, and then now on the site there's literally just the cream ones, the navy ones, and the black ones. If you want to get a pair like these red ones or any other color, you pretty much have to go onto eBay and find a pair that's on there that's new, or go to Depop and find a used pair. Other than that, they aren't releasing any cool colors of these recently. Another benefit of the Old Skool is that they do have this Pro model, which has a few benefits over the standard model of the One Star. Now, of course, you have the Ultra Cush insole here, which is really thick and has a ton of support, especially if you're going to be skating. But I must note that I'm doing this review from the perspective of someone who doesn't really wear these shoes to skate. I do longboard and, bike around in my shoes a lot, and I'm definitely active in them. But this isn't a perspective on the skateability, because I'm sure Vans do have some upsides, especially with the Pros, as far as skateability goes. Other than the insole on the Vans Old Skool Pros, I would say that also just having some metal hardware and, just a few little things like the Duracap and some of the small details might be a little bit better than the standard pair of Converse One Stars. And really the only other thing I could think of that is better about the Old Skools would be the construction of the rear heel here. This is very hard and, isn't going anywhere and is very, very structured. Whereas, especially with the suede One Stars, That's a pretty flimsy area there. I don't personally have a problem with it, but I could see if you're skating or really wearing these shoes a lot, you might want that extra bit of support in the back. So that is one area of these that I feel is better constructed. Now let's move on to the 1-stars and what I really love about these and why I think they are actually the better option as far as value and, you know, build quality goes. First of all, an obvious thing about the 1-stars that I love is the price point. They're usually anywhere, I can find them online anywhere from $30 to $50 brand new for just, you know, regular colorways. I find a lot on eBay for really great prices. I believe I got these brand new for $40, which is a steal. And I think Vans have honestly gone up a bit in price, and like the regular pair of Old Skools is probably around 60 or something like that. I'm sure you can get them cheaper, but I've just felt like for the quality of the shoe, the Old Skool is valued much better, or the 1-star is valued much better. And I think what makes the price point stand out so much is that the build quality is just so much better in my opinion on these shoes. I think most notably would be the midsole. Now if I bring up a pair of Vans Old Skools, these are just the regular ones, not the pros. This particular pair I didn't wear a ton, so you're not going to see much of this evident on these, but on other ones that I wore a lot, the midsole, especially where your foot tends to bend right there, it's so thin and lightly glued on to the side of the material of the shoe that I would always just get these like areas here that just crack up and get all broken and open up the shoe, and the glue would come undone. And the same goes for the bottom here, like it would just peel off. So there's something, you know, a lot cheaper and thinner about the construction of the Vans Old Skool midsole versus on the Converse 1-star. And I think this is what makes the Converse 1-star a heavier shoe overall. Just the standard pair was a bit heavier even than the Vans Old Skool Pros. When I weighed them, this came in at over a pound, just a little bit over a pound, where I think both of the Vans Old Skools at size 10.5 were under a pound. Now this midsole is like it's very glossy, I will give it that, and it's also very thick. I wear this pair of shoes almost every single day, and I have yet to have any portion of the midsole come unglued from the suede. And they're just as flexible, but it just seems like they're glued much better around this portion, and it's just an overall thicker, harder, and more durable midsole on the standard model than is available on the standard model of the Old Skools. I also think that the cushioning on the insole is a lot better on the regular model of the 1-stars than it is on the Old Skools. Now this is the insole from the 1-stars. As you can see, it's nothing crazy. It's not nearly as thick as the Vans Old Skool Pros, but there's still plenty of cushion there, and it definitely rises and gives to your foot a bit. Whereas on the Vans Old Skools, which on this pair I can't even take out the insoles, there's barely anything between your foot and the bottom of the shoe and the ground. It is just very thin, and honestly these just feel like more beachy, you know, barefoot type of shoes. They just don't have the cushion and comfort that I would want to be walking around in for a long amount of time, unless I was maybe on the beach or something. You know what I mean? At least from a comfort perspective, I think that the 1-star's tongue is also more comfortable. It's overall a thicker and much wider tongue than you have on the Old Skools. Although I think the thinner and, you know, with the stitched on cloth at the top, tongue on the Old Skools is a bit more visually attractive. I think that the comfort of the thick tongue beats it out for me. I don't tend to have much sliding around with the tongue on this, whereas with other shoes, because of my flat feet, the tongue will like go completely crooked, which I can't stand. It's one of my pet peeves. And I also really love the lining on this specific pair of Old Skools. I know it's a little bit different on my Tyler Collabs, but on this specific one, they have this white, almost like polyester athletic like jersey type of lining that's in between the suede and your foot. And I find this to be a lot more comfortable than what you would get like on the canvas of an Old Skool, where it's just this super thin like there's nothing, it's just the canvas. Like, it's a paper thin layer between your foot and the outside of the shoe. And I've had problems with this with Vans before. I've had Vans where I'm longboarding and my toe, like, because of how thin the fabric they use is, my toe literally came through the front of the suede on one of my pairs of standard old school Vans. And I think another really important part of these shoes is that for me, having, you know, slightly wide feet, not super wide, but slightly wide and definitely flat feet, the Converse One Stars seem to, in general, you know, stretch out more for me and just cater to my foot better. On certain pairs of Vans Old Schools, and it was more common with the Pros, right on like the edges, right in here where like your pinky toe and your big toe would go, like, because of the Duracap, it would just squeeze in on my foot, and if I wore it for more than a few hours, it would just rub my feet raw. I just found the Vans Old Schools overall to be a bit more narrow and didn't have as much give as the One Stars do, which is why I really love the One Stars. They just slip right on and fit like a glove, every pair I have of them, and that's why they really are my everyday shoe at this point. And really, there's no major downfalls for me outside of the terrible availability of these shoes. Like I said, there are like no good colorways out there really that are new and that Converse is actively producing of these shoes. And it's really hard to get any of these shoes. I think if you went to the mall, you might be able to get a black pair, but that's about it. Otherwise, you have to go online for these, whereas with Vans Old Schools, you can get them pretty much anywhere. So yeah, overall, I do prefer the One Stars. I think both shoes are similar in certain aspects, but the One Stars are just a heftier and more well-built shoe in my opinion, and better for, you know, just casual wearing. So that's pretty much gonna wrap up the video. I'm trying to do more of these videos where I'm in front of the camera and speaking, just so I can engage with the subscribers a little bit and maybe make this content a little bit more entertaining and easy to watch. So if you like how I'm sounding, or if you have any recommendations, put them in the comments below, and make sure to check out some of my other videos. I have tons of videos on shoes, clothing, golf wearing, streetwear, tons of stuff, so make sure to check it out, and see you next time.